Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're here today with M.T. Dávila, who's our Assistant Professor of Christian Ethics and also the Faculty Director of the Master of Arts programs. M.T., can you tell us a little bit about the MA program here at Andover Newton?
There's three variations of the MA program. There's the Master of Arts in Theological Research, Master of Art for Theological Studies, and Master of Arts in Religious Education. And the focus of each varies depending on the interest of the student and what they want to get out of their time here at Andover Newton. So the Master of Arts in Theological Studies can have a focused area of study with a final integrative project at the end. The Master of Art in Theological Research typically is for a student who either they've had humanities in their undergraduate or biblical studies or theological studies in their undergraduate, want to further their studies, or wants to continue after their Master of Arts degree into a doctoral degree to give them more opportunity to do an ample research thesis at the end in an area of focus of study. And the Master of Arts in Religious Education, self-explanatory for those interested in any areas concerning religious education, whether youth, children, adult, etc.
Now, you've described three different programs. What kind of student are you looking for, and is it a different kind of student for each of the programs, or maybe just in general, what kind of student?
I think there's a range of potential candidates for each of the programs. It has a range. Through my experience in the MA program, I've seen a number of students all getting a lot of satisfaction and growth from being in the program. So you have students, like I said, mentioned before, who already have been previously exposed either to biblical studies, theological studies, ethics, humanities, history in some way, or the arts as well, since we have a theology and the arts area of specialization. And those may come either for the MA in Theological Studies or the MA in Theological Research. Students with prior experience in education may want to continue in religious education. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. So a lot of people ask themselves, do I have to have prior exposure to theological studies in any way to enter an MA program in a seminary? And my answer is no. We have people who come here in having been grounded in the sciences, having been grounded in other areas of the humanities, having come from another career and want to do some sort of exploration or shift into the area of theological studies. So there's a really wide range of what can draw someone to look at these programs with interest and hope potentially apply to one of these programs. I think the biggest thing that would qualify for me a candidate or a potential student in the MA program is interest to explore a theological theme, the Bible or other sacred scripture, other world religions, with more depth and in a community of learners, because that's what you can do a lot of studying on your own, but when you join a program, then you're entering into a relationship with a community of learners that makes your learning grow exponentially in that area that you're really interested in. So there's a real range of who could benefit from coming here and what could make someone look to a program such as these.
Thank you, MT. And what would you say is special about the MA programs here at Andover Newton?
Well, for me, right off the bat, our relationship with Hebrew College is something that shapes a lot how we entertain theological studies in general. We have various gatherings together throughout the year. There are courses that are co-taught between Andover Newton faculty and Hebrew College faculty. So that area is very strong and shapes a lot of what happens here. the possibility of focusing on theology and the arts and worship and the arts is also very strong and something that draws a lot of people that other institutions may not have necessarily. Hopefully, I want to think that we're very strong in ethics. The ethics faculty wants to focus on public theology and the public role of either an intellectual in theology or a pastor. So that public face of theological studies is always present. How does this translate into the worlds that we live in outside of these walls? How does this translate into my community, into media, into Facebook? How does this translate into CNN or any other public forum that where we see religious voices speaking, but sometimes not speaking entirely honestly or broadly or with depth, but more with antagonism. So we want to expose students to a deeper level of theological conversation than what sometimes is seen in the mainstream media. And that's another thing that categorizes or characterizes what we have to offer.
As the coordinator of the program, I know you have the MA colloquium at the beginning of the program for all MA students. Tell us a little bit about how that works and how you are pulled together all those three different types of MA programs in that colloquium, and perhaps your role as the coordinator for the whole.
The MA colloquium was structured and is structured and designed with three goals in mind. The first, to allow the origins or for students to begin to create that community of learning at the MA level with all the students. Sometimes, especially in the theological research arena, a lot of the studies can be independent studies or directed studies with a particular professor, or they go to the BTI, the Boston Theological Institute, to take courses, take advantage of other schools in the Boston area that offer courses that they can take. So often they don't see each other every semester. So that's the first goal, is for the MA colloquium to establish that community of learners. Second goal is for students to really begin to think about what to do with their program. All the MA programs at the full-time level take about 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years. And that goes by real fast. So we want to get them started thinking about what they want to focus on, what they want their integrative paper to look like. The third goal of the colloquium is to expose students to the range of topics that are available in theological studies. And for that purpose, we do a survey of discrete topics with a guest speaker as well, pulled from either the Andover Newton community or the BTI. So this may be a student's first exploration into theological studies, and they'll get to hear about a range of topics such as interreligious dialogue, feminist studies, ethics, pastoral care, religious education, systematic theology, liberation theology, etc. So a student gets a set of resources as well, because the syllabus will include for each topic a set of readings and resources that they can follow. And what's been interesting is that even students who have had their bachelor's degree in biblical studies or in theological studies have come to the colloquium and found something new and exciting, and in fact something that they want to further in their studies because they hadn't been exposed to it before. Or it could be that they're very set on what they're going to study, and this is the one chance they get to look at all the other things and get a little bit of that. In addition, by having guest speakers, they get to know the faculty better at Andover Newton. They get to know what they're passionate about, because that's one of the questions I ask faculty to come and speak about. What makes you passionate about what you do? So that they can get to know what's behind the coursework, what's behind the books they publish and the articles they publish, and why they're in the field of theological studies to begin with. So for me, it's been a treat to study it. It's been a treat to see the students grow from entering the program into developing their ideas and developing their projects for either thesis, research thesis, or integrative projects for the theological studies or religious education concentrations.
Thank you so much, MT. This was wonderful. We've learned quite a bit from you this morning.
My pleasure.
If you have further questions after our presentation, look at our website, www.ants.edu.